Hi, I'm the Warrior Witch, and you can call me Nike. Oh, wasn't that intro slick? Oh my goodness. I can't say who did it for me. It is an anonymous project, so let's just say that that intro was manifested from the universe. But it was really cool. I hope you guys like it. I love it. Anyway, today we're talking about why I'm not in a coven and why I probably never will be. Controversial to some, I know. So before we really get into it, I want to say first, at the end of this video there's going to be two really big announcements that I'm super excited about. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be great, so stick around. This is gonna be more of a talking head type video, so if you just wanna put it on in the background and have the audio running without having to worry too much about the visuals, you can go ahead and do that. Before we really get into why I'm not joining a coven, at least for the foreseeable long-term future, we should talk about what a coven actually is and like where the word comes from. So let's cover first what a coven even is to understand why some people might not join them. So I wrote an article about this on my website which goes a little bit more in depth, or if you want to look at the details further, you can go there. But basically the term coven came from sort of a misunderstanding of the history of like druids and European types of like witch gatherings, what we would consider them now. But the term really became popularized in groups, especially like Wicca. So Wicca really popularized the idea of covens, which is a gathering of witches, basically. Margaret Murray, who was the one who popularized it originally a few years earlier, she had put it as specifically a group of 13, but that's not really necessary, especially not now. So generally, when you see a coven, there's most of the time, and of course this is not going to apply to every coven out there, but generally on the whole, a coven is going to have a high priest or a high priestess, or both, as is the case in many circles, and those two will sort of lead the circle in any like rituals or any sort of coven-related gathering things, especially when it comes to the holidays around the wheel of the year. They are the ones who lead and often will help to guide and mentor the younger or newer members. So there tends to be, as with a lot of the stuff with witchcraft on social media, this sort of like implied pressure that this is the only way to do it and this is the best way to do it. And you know, a lot of people, and I ran across this question too, a lot of people end up thinking, do I have to join a coven in order to be like a proper witch? And the answer is no. I mean, it's really not necessary. But for a lot of people it does help if you like a hierarchy type system, if you like a sort of mentorship type of system where you have elders that you can turn to and they will help guide you on your path. That can be great for you. But for me, it's not really the style of working that I like to do. I do my workings alone, I gather my herbs alone, I do my praying alone, I do my reading alone. When I do spell work, it's a very private, intimate thing. My entire craft is pretty intimate and private for me. I mean, even my boyfriend isn't really around for half of it, and he knows what I do, and he is lightly into paganism stuff himself. And even in that case, I'll tell him I'm gonna go do some spell work, and I really like don't invite him along. So for me, part of it is that it's a private thing, but part of it is that I'm not really a hierarchy kind of person. Maybe it's the Capricorn moon in my chart, or the Scorpio rising, or whatever trait it is, but I've always been a very like, do it myself, I want to do it my way, and that's the right way for me kind of person. Even in stuff that I knew would be better to have somebody with me in the beginning, I often would just learn the hard way. Because I was because I was just that kind of child. I mean, that's just who I've always been. So for me, a lot of the learning process when it comes to witchcraft is that way too. I sort of want to do the research on my own, and I want to learn at my own pace too. Like I don't like the format when it comes to stuff that I'm really passionate about, of having like a rigid schedule. And I know that works for a lot of other people. It works to have somebody say, you're gonna learn this week and you're gonna read this many chapters. It's just not how I work. I work a lot better doing it at my own pace, so I can read a chapter a week, and then next month I only read one chapter, or I read 3 books in a week. You know, I want to sort of set the learning at my own pace and not have to worry about getting too far ahead or too far behind, because that really stresses me out. So part of it is a pacing thing. And honestly, part of it comes down to an ethics matching thing. For me, it's really hard to find covens that will match my style. And I don't just mean like my personal style, although that is sort of an important part too with any community. For example, there's a local coven in my area that has very strict rules about no baneful magic. Period. If they know that you do baneful magic, they will kick you out. So you either have to hide part of your practice, which for me feels very counterintuitive. I mean, the whole point of being able to join a coven is to be able to practice more openly, or you just don't do it, which for me would be limiting my practice. I mean, I've told you guys, it's rare, but I do baneful magic on occasion, and so I don't want to have to choose between something that I would view as an important thing to do in my practice and a group or a community. Like, it's not a choice that I really want to have to make. So for me, the covens in general just really aren't a thing that I want. They're just not a thing that really vibed with me. But you may be asking, well, okay, I'm the same kind of person, you know, I have my own reasons for not wanting to join a coven, but I still want to have people, like a community to turn to, so what are my options? And you know, I thought the same thing, but that's the beauty of the online sphere that we have today. That's the beauty of the witchcraft community that we have today. So much of it is online, and you can find so many communities out there online that it's pretty easy to find them. There's Tumblr communities, there's Twitter communities, there's Instagram communities, and the ones that I'm most active on are Discord. I mean, there's, you know, forums and websites and all sorts of options. You can get pen pals. If you're doing it in a safe way, I'd recommend mostly just like email. But you know, there's lots of ways to have community, and you can also do that IRL. Maybe not during COVID so much, you know, but let's say before or after. You know, communities that can meet in person, not as a coven, but as a group of people who all practice magic, who all want to discuss it. Like book clubs or discussion groups would be the best way that I could put it. A community is going to be really important for anything, of course, but for witchcraft especially. It's so nice to be able to have your community that you can talk to about what you're doing or about what you're learning, or if you have questions, you can ask questions like, hey, I started working with this deity and I did this thing. Do you guys do that too? Or is this an experience you've had? Or what kinds of experiences have you had? Let's discuss it. Like, having a group that you can turn to have those conversations is such a blessing. I really, really do think that I wouldn't be nearly as far on my path today if I didn't have a community to turn to originally. And for me, that community was mostly on Discord. I joined Olivia, the Witch of Wonderlust's coven. Coven is just the term that they use for the community, the Wanderlust Coven. So I joined that through Instagram, and then she announced her Discord, and I joined her Discord. And then there was a fan community as well that was like a sister server type of thing. And so that group has been really, really important for me for growing and learning and cultivating that community. I mean, it's where I met Georgina and Temp, you know, and so many others, and I've just sort of expanded my community from there, getting to know so many people from that group, even the ones that I'm not naming. Like, there's literally 2,000 members on the server. I mean, I couldn't name them all, but so many important people from that server that have grown to be my very, very close witchy community. Some very, very close friends, I would say. So for me, the servers have been really important. And that's why, leading into the announcements, oh, I'm so excited. I've made my own Discord server. Now, that's not to say that I'm going to be abandoning the Wanderlust Coven servers, not by a long shot. So if you're already in there and you know me from there, don't worry, I'm not leaving. But I did make my own Discord server. Oh, I'm so excited. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I think it's finally time. I have a fair following here and on Instagram now, where I'm gonna announce it on both places. But I have I think as of the day of recording this, I hit 5,400 on YouTube, which is amazing, by the way. Oh my goodness, I legitimately didn't think I'd get here within this amount of time. And I have just hit 10,000 on Instagram, which means I get the very cool swipe up feature. So I kind of figured, you know, maybe my community would want a little space to sort of interact. And I have some extra special features for patrons. Yes, that's right, I have a Patreon. Up until now, it's been the $1 tier to just like throw $1 my way to support me, just a small little gesture. And that tier will still be around, so if you just want to like throw a buck at me to just say, hey, here's a small gesture, I appreciate you, that'll be there too. But, oh god, where's my tiers? Now I have 3 tiers. So there's the $1, there's a $5, and there's a $10. And I'm trying to keep it small right now. I originally asked a long time ago what you guys would want from a Patreon from me. And I took to heart some comments that said, hey, listen, we don't want you to get too overwhelmed. We would really love it if you would, you know, be able to do something that both works for you and is like sustainable, which it sounds kind of mean, but like I did take it in a good way. Like I appreciate that comment a lot, and it's very much what I'm trying to embody here. So I'm trying to keep it in a way that is sustainable for me, and I want to be able to keep up with the rewards that I am promising to you guys without getting overwhelmed or missing on stuff. So the $5 tier is a special role on my Discord server, labeling you as a patron. And there's a special patron-only section on the server, so you can ask me questions directly and I will answer you directly instead of, you know, going to the community. I personally will answer your questions, and you get early access to my videos. Now, this won't always be like a week early. I may start to shift that eventually, but as of right now, I'm gonna try my best to make it 24 hours minimum before. Some days it may be a little bit later, but it will definitely be at minimum the day before. So instead of Tuesdays, you'll get it on Mondays. It just might be like in the evening. Depends on my shooting schedule. I'll be trying to fix that to be more stable in the future. And for $10 tiers, you get all that stuff plus some extra goodies that I provide for you guys. I've made some printables. I'm gonna have some shadow work prompts. If I make any special extra videos, I'll post those too. And that'll be more of like a future goal. I wanna work up to like every month a special video, or every month, you know, a bigger special something, but I do want to work up to that. You know, like I said, I want to keep it sustainable. So, you know, I have goals I'm going to be working towards, so it won't just be as it is now. But there's a couple special tiers, and if you want to help support me, you can do that, and it'd be super cool of you. And yeah, I'll be linking to my Patreon and my Discord down in the description. And if you want to follow me anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, my website, etc. Those will also be in the description. So, I hope you guys had a good time. Just a pretty basic concept to talk about, covens and stuff. And speaking of covens and communities, now I have my own to direct you guys to, which is really rad. So, see you guys next time, and blessed be.